Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a prisoner of conscience. Against his will and liberty, he was being detained because he expressed his own opinion regarding the happening within the Nigerian contraption, that his own people has been threatened and the existence and prosperity of his own people being the Biafrans within the Nigerian political configurations is being threatened and risks extinction by the way the subjugation, the oppression, the perceived justice, injustice, and imbalance in the system is being carried out by the deliberately by the political elites and those vested interests who are bent at destroying the very essence of his people and their ideology, what they believe, their lifestyle, their culture, and their heritage. But then, Tinubu calling for a guarantor to sortie Mazin Nnamdi Kanu before his release, and the condition given that he has to back down on the agitation for the Biafran state is just could be considered as very mischievous and unrealistic. Under what circumstances should you infringe or hamper or tends to superimpose your own opinion, ideology, or opinion about the state of the country on someone else? He have expressed his candidate positions and he said he has crossed the Rubicon and is a point of no return. So forcing him to accept a different ideology, a different belief, a different system, contrary to what his own free will or free mind have accepted, could be a way of subjugation and the formation of his fundamental rights or an infringement to his fundamental rights. Now, I'm calling for any sortie or guarantor that will ensure that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu drops the agitation for the Biafran state or nation could be considered dead on arrival. No, prior to this time, the first bail he was granted, according to the Supreme Court, that he never jumped bail. An assassination attempt was made on his life, and which everyone knows he helped to score it for safety. So, Supreme Court upholding that verdict that, contrary to the submission or argument of the Nigerian Defense Council, that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail, he never jumped bail, and the Supreme Court, being the highest appellate court of law within the Nigerian judicial system, have affirmed at this position that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, never jumped bail. Rather, Nigerian government and its security operatives was faulted by breaching the law and trying to kill him, of which most people died. Even his dogs, choice dogs, died in the course of that invasion. It was considered an invasion, and this is contradictory to the position or the provisions of the Constitution that someone granted bail under Nigerian law should not be his fundamental rights pending on the determination of the court should not be considered, of course, to be illegal. He should be given the opportunity to express himself and pending on the next court injunction, but his country home was invaded and eventually led to over 28 people losing their lives. And there have been several cases and happenings afterwards which have shown and expressed the resilience and determination of the indigenous people of Biafra. By indigenous people of Biafra, those seeking for self-determination, for freedom out of oppression and suppression, which they believe there is no other better alternative than the restoration of the Biafran state. And to this end, Mazis Nnamdi Kanu, prior to his rendition from Kenya, made this very strong affirmation, a position that is very clear. He has maintained his composure, however odious and exacerbating any situation. He has been forced or subjected to alter or change his mind regarding this. It's not just an ideology, but something that is inborn within him. he have understood the only way to end the oppression, the suppression, the subjugation of his own people and himself and his posterity is to secede from the Nigerian state. Now, if you ask him to drop agitation of Biafra and embrace Nigeria, which of the Nigeria do you want him to embrace? Is it this current Nigeria that is almost gone, that almost has lost its existence in terms of rule of law, in terms of governance, in terms of economy? Nigeria is in the state of moribund. There is high level of injustice, high level of rascality, even on the part of the security operatives, the executive, and the judiciary. Just deliver to me expose the rottenness, the deep corruption inherent within the judicial system that is considered to be the hope of a common man, the last hope of a common man. But today, the judiciary has been dragged to the mud, and even the high profile personalities, the IG of police, also said that Nigerian justice system is weak, sick, and needs help. Now, is it the Nigeria you want him to embrace, or is there no other Nigeria that is elsewhere that you will want Mazem Nnamdi Kanu to embrace? A Nigeria where there is no injustice, a Nigeria where there is no uh, subjugation, oppression, intimidation, a Nigeria where everybody has a right to his affiliations and, of course, aspire to live out his dreams and expectations? Is it the Nigeria you want him to embrace, or this current Nigeria that is considered to be a failed state, a country teaching towards a failed state? You've had several uh, prominent personalities within the Nigerian political sphere, the likes of the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, saying that Nigeria is a fallen state, which had been confirmed and consolidated under the watch of Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria. Well, that is not to say that he laid the foundation of Nigerian decaying state, but he inherited most of these anomalies and eventually uh, need to escalate. Same, but that is quite unfortunate. Now, if you ask Mazin Kanu to drop the agitation of Biafra, to accept what the current Nigerian configuration that is agog, every ethnic nationality within this country is not happy with this current Nigeria. Nobody is proud of it. Davido, a renowned musician, a secular musician, said that he is ashamed of Nigeria. We call it Nigeria because there is no hope with what is happening. The economy is in shambles, the security, many people living in IDPs for more than a decade or more, and they have not returned to their ancestral homes. Many people being sacked in their communal settings, economic activity being disrupted, out of school children running in their tens of millions, and there is no solution profile to remedy these situations and abnormally. No, which kind of country or Nigeria do you want Mazim Nnamdi Kanu, who have traveled wide and fast, have read fast to understand how economy is being run, how society, a sense society should be run, and the right to citizens to good governance and democratic process, just as Ghana here conducted a seamless, of course, election seamlessly without any fault, without any litigation. So it was accepted by all, and of course, commended by several international communities. Could that be realistic or feasible within the Nigeria? Citing the last general presidential election, 2023, was the worst of it all. Of course, that shattered and battered the hope of even teeming populations of the youth who would consider that as the only hope to salvage the situation. But then they were encouraged to go to the polls, and eventually INEC dashed Mahmoud Yakubu, dashed every hope left to have confidence in the redeemability of the country, Nigeria. Followed with this development, of course, several critics across international and local have condemned the outcome of the elections, which went eventually the way, exposing Nigeria to the state of vulnerability, that there is gross uh, injustice and corruption within the judicial and electoral system, which unfortunately it is not redeemable in a short distant time. Now, which of this country would you want Mazin Nnamdi Kanu to drop the agitation of Biafra and embrace? Is it the country that even the North are calling for Araba, Araba, let this country be disintegrated, the tax reforms and all that unending arguments and disturbances, the air of uncertainty that have been off all this. Now, this is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said. He has crossed the Rubicon and is a point of no return, not just him, but every Biafran who believe in the cause of Biafra, in the cause of justice, who believe that Nigeria is gone as far as they are concerned, does not exist in their subconsciousness, because of the oppression that have been sustained after this most bloody genocidal war they survived, and eventually the those issues of importance that led to the previous war has not been addressed. Unfortunately, as the case is, has been compounded and escalated to the point that if there is any chances of people having confidence or in the restoration of the Nigeria on the part of progress and unity or coherence, that had been finally the fabric of the existence has been finally eroded with this current developments and reality unfolding. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has maintained his composure, his sincerity and commitment, which is cannot be denied by any responsible personality, and he have acted within the ambit of the law, international laws. He has watched several court case injunctions within the Nigerian courts, which have set aside all the count charges levied against him, bordering on terrorism and treason. Now, there is no other case, of course, or evidence that could be substantive enough, because any government or the burden of proving the case beyond reasonable doubt is on the accuser, which is Nigerian and its legal counsel. They have failed in this and could no longer have any justification to continue with the incarceration of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Now, subjecting him to such unbearable state, demanding for to drop the agitation could be very laughable and to me could be considered as a technical defeat, because you said that the court will have its way, that you should allow the court to decide, not interfering. Now, what is the position of the court now? Of course, the courts have set him free, as that he should go, and no court within the Nigerian judicial process or jurisdiction has the right to try him based on the rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, before Mazi Nnamdi Kanu left, or before he was incarcerated or adopted, he's made this very frank statement or positions. Now, and if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made this very strong statement, and the DOS or the IPOBs believe that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is their followers. Now, the question is, how true did they believe in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's leadership? Because if you believe that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is your follower and he gives instruction and you do not adhere or follow up with such instructions, you are more or less a betrayer, not different from, of course, those who conspired to rendition him. So the DOS, who should have stepped into uh, the corridor of administration, of course, and directives, if they fail to comply to the directive of their supposed leader, then it means they are conspiracy to his adoption and ordain. Now let's see what Mazin Nnamdi Kanu said. He said, in this creation of awareness for the restoration of the Biafran state, he said, you must go and listen to Simon Epa You must go and listen to Simon Ipa. You see, he is taking this Biafran cause to a new dimension. He is doing a very, very, very fantastic job, and you must listen to him and share his videos. Now, if this is coming from a man that is endeared by his people, loved by his people, or presumed to have been loved by his people, and the DOS is the second in command and failed to carry out this command, he said, you must. The word must means there is no condition, of course, attached to this. By then, he is not under any influence or subjected to under any pressure before he made this statement. Now the question is, did the DOS or the Chika Odozie DOS comply with such directives? It's a flagrant deviation, insubordination on the part of the DOS, supervised by the led by the Chika Edozie, because he said you must listen to him, you must share his video. Having vetted him, having examined Mazin Nnamdi, Simon Ekpa and his antecedents, he said that he's taking the awareness, the campaign awareness of Biafra to a new dimension. You must listen to him. It's a must. One, you must share his video. You must encourage him to strive, to do better. But does that happen? Of course, what we saw was a very serious confrontations and the hostility that marked the occasion of the engulfed the entire system after Martin Nnamdi Kanu says orderly rendition. The DOS and the entire IPOB begin to fight their own leader by way of fighting his own instructions and directives. You see, when you are fighting Simon Ekpa, you are directly fighting Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, telling him that you have no confidence in his leadership and administration, because he made it very clear. The videos are there. He said, you must listen to Simon Ekpa. The word must means is an instruction, and if they believe that is command and control, and they do not adhere to this same process of chains of command and control, it means they are betrayers and they are not sincere or committed to their leader, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. He said command and control. If you operate the command and control, and the commander, of course, of the movement said you must listen to Simon Ekpa. He recommended Simon Ekpa even before his extraordinary rendition. What does that imply? That if you go contrary to the directives or instruction of your supposed leader, you are a rebel in the midst of the IPOB. And that was very clear. It was very clear when we see immediately he was renditioned, and you see power tussles and the insubordinations and counter motions and all that ensued. This is a pointer that they never was loyal to Nnamdi Kanu, because if you are loyal to him, his latest instruction was you must listen to Simon Ekpa. You must share his videos. He is taking the campaign awareness for the restoration of the Biafran state to a new dimension. Was that complied to? Was such instruction adhered? No. It was flattered, blatantly flattered by the supposed DOS and the Chike Dozier and their whatever they call themselves. So no wonder, of course, how they ended out, how the virtual everything went down. It now boils down to serious accusations and counter accusations, saying that Simon Ekpa is not an IPOB. But your master said, you must, it's a must. And of course, we are still watching whether they will still comply to that or have learned their mistakes, will retrace their path. But what we have seen is consistent intimidation, suppression, doing whatever possible, even celebrating the supposed arrest of Simon Ekpa in Finland. That is very unfortunate. But then, what do we want to bring out here? Very silent points or lesson to learn. You said you have confidence in Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Of course, uh, campaign for the Biafran restoration. he gives instructions and you do not adhere to this instruction, you oppose the instructions, you jettison the instructions and went contrary in contradiction to his own directives, then it means you have lost that sense of responsibility and discipleship, because you are now forming a different frontier against countering Mazin Namdekan. No wonder most people accuse the DOS and the rest of them for masterminding the conspiracy against Nnamdi Kanu that led to his extraordinary rendition. Most of them were aware, as being alleged, that when he was abducted for 8 good days, they never knew where their master was or their leader was. They all kept mute because perhaps they could be part of that. Well, depending on whatever happens until Mazin Namdi Kanu comes out, and now the Nigerian government is giving an order or a condition that Mazin Namdi Kanu must drop the agitations. Where are the IPOPs? Where are the DOS? Where are the Chike Doziems and all that? Their silence suggests some elements of truth in whatever allegations that people may have been levied against them, because you cannot say that you are standing with your leader because he is no longer out, he is no longer free. Now, how could you convince the people if you do not adhere to his instruction? It's quite unfortunate. Then Simon Ekpa is also undergoing some challenges as been perceived, but then only time will reveal whatever happens. But by my own opinion, calling for Mazin Nnamdi Kanu to back down the quest for the restoration of the Biafran state is too late and a lost battle, because the Biafran restoration declaration has been made in Finland. It was witnessed by the entire world. It is not an in-house thing. Everybody saw it. Finland news acknowledged that. Finland medias and newspapers and all that acknowledged that there was a declaration of the restoration of the Biafran sovereignty there after, and of course, the subsequent defense of the same. Whatever happens, well, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu can never drop the agitation of the restoration of the Biafran state, which already has been taking place. He will be out to consider or see that the deal has been done. But calling for him to drop that agitation, it was too late. Even while he was being detained or incarcerated, the government thought that they have won the battle to silence the Biafran quest. But unfortunately, it was just an opportunity booster given to the Biafrans. And of course, Simon Ikpa has to take off from that and eventually know what happens today. He's being considered as the most wanted within the Nigerian state by the defense headquarters. That, to say the least, even when the Nigerian pressed on, made every desperate move to hamper the declaration, restoration of the Biafran sovereignty in Finland. Simon Ekpa was set aside, but eventually another woman emerged, Dr. Ngozi Orabweze, as the chief of staff to the Biafran government in Nesa, the public government in Nesa. She did excellently well, having the lion heart to lead her own people to liberty, to freedom. It was a very important experience. Of course, the world over graced the occasion, and eventually it was a history today. So you think you can stop Biafra by stopping Nnamdi Kanu. Simon Ekpa step aside, and you may want to stop that, but only time will tell how far that could succeed. But then, of what need is it to force a people who you know have no common ideology, common cultural heritage, common cultural or sense of reasoning and responsibility together? Why do you force them together? You know they are not one. Heterogeneous in terms of ideology, way of life, ideology, culture, and all that, religion. You want to bring them together to continue to kill themselves? Of what purpose does that serve? That is the big question to ask. Or the executives and those political class are just cashing out. Why? they make every other region ungovernable or restive. It's very unfortunate. We have to examine our positions and considering the realities on ground. Nigeria could be vulcanized into different sections, and if that will encourage growth, development, and investment on human capital, uh, human development index, and improve on the economy, of course, and the protection and security of the regions better for them. That's nothing wrong. The world's on their parts, the Biafrans on their way, and of course the entire Northern, whatever they want to call themselves, as they have been canvassing for these needless times. We have to consider our positions because you cannot continue to live in denial and think you can change anything. But then let's get to know what is your own reaction regarding this. We want to know what you think could happen with this development. But for me, my opinion that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu could not consider that trash because for him, he has echoed and re-echoed himself and positioned time without numbers. So you can't uh, mistake him for any other things. Let us get to know what is your own position regarding this development.